The problem with a lot of infrared saunas is that the only way to turn them on is to press a button like this. Which means you can't set a timer, you can't control it remotely, and it takes about a half an hour for the sauna to get up to full temp, so that's really inconvenient. So on this project, I'm going to show you how I hacked into the circuit board so I can make the sauna interface with my phone. I'm Peter, and welcome to I Build Projects. Before we get too far into this, some of you might be wondering, what about a SwitchBot? Yes, you can buy a tiny little robot that'll press a button for you. It looks a little goofy, but it does work. Here's one in my sauna. Unfortunately, after about a week, it stopped working. I don't know if it's the high heat or the infrared, but it just wouldn't talk to my phone anymore after that. So about a second one, and ran into the same problem. It just doesn't seem to work inside the sauna. Now, some saunas have the control panel on the outside. In that case, a SwitchBot might be a good option, but it's not going to work for me. So after some research, I eventually found this switch module hack on Amazon. It's a good price, but a little tricky to figure out, so here's how I installed it.
All right, first things first, let's go ahead and pull the control panel off. Go ahead and unscrew the frame around it. All right, and then we'll go ahead and unscrew the circuit board from the display panel front. Now we're going to do a little experimenting. I'm going to take a wire, cut it down, and I'll strip both sides so that I can make a little jumper. And I'll use this to play around with the different solder connections so I can figure out what actually trips the button on the circuit board. This button on the left side here is the one that turns the sauna on and off, and that's the one we're trying to trip. We'll turn the circuit board over and we can see the solder connections for the button. If we jump the two on this side, we'll see if we can get it to turn on, and so there we go. All we have to do is connect these to our switch module, and then we can remotely turn it on and off. And I'm going to go ahead and mark these with a Sharpie so I don't forget where they are. At this point, I can go ahead and unplug the sauna. I definitely don't want any power going to the circuit board when I do the soldering here in a minute. I'm going to add a little bit of solder to the tip of these two wires. These are a little thicker than I need, but it's leftover wiring from a project I had earlier for some low voltage lights, so they should work. Get the first one soldered into place. And get the second one. All right, nope. Gotta retry this one again here. Come on. Yeah, again, this would have been a lot easier if I just used a couple single-strand wires. This is definitely not a good demonstration of soldering technique, and it's definitely not very interesting. So let's go ahead and speed things up a bit. All right, there we go. Now I can run the wires to the switch module, so go ahead and screw the two in. One wire is connected to the COM, which is the common connection for the relay, and the other one's connected to the NO, which is normally open connection of the relay. So theoretically, when the switch gets power, it'll close the circuit and make our connection, so then the button will work. You don't have to be concerned about polarity, so it doesn't really matter which side you connect the wires on, it'll still work either way. You can power the switch module with a standard cell phone adapter, so let's go ahead and plug it in, see if we can get it to work. And I'm going to start playing around with the different modes. And there we go, it tripped. So if we manually switch the relay on and off, we can trigger the circuit board for the sauna to turn on and off. So that's good. All we have to do now is connect it to the Wi-Fi. Now that we know that the wires are connected properly, I like to put a big glob of hot glue in place to make sure that they don't actually pull out. They weren't the best soldering point connections in the first place. You can power the switch console with an app called TUYA Smart. So go ahead and download that, sign up, create an account, do all the typical stuff. then you need to add a device. And you're going to call this a socket Wi-Fi. The instructions actually said electrician Wi-Fi socket. I'm laying the switch module down on the floor for a minute so I can see the directions while I'm doing this. But basically, if the blue light isn't flashing, you hold down the middle button until it finally does begin to flash. And that signifies that you've entered the pairing mode and the app should now recognize the device. You have to make sure that you enter your Wi-Fi information and then give it a chance to connect. And then it pulls up with two options, switch 1 and switch 2, because there are two different relays on this switch module, even though we're only using one of them. Now I want to put the unit on the top of the sauna, so I'm going to take the loose wire, tape it to the existing control panel wire, and I'll just pull it back up. I'm going to store the new switch module up on top where it's easy to get to and where it's not going to be in the sauna. I don't want it affected by the heat and the radiation in the sauna. I'm going to add the wires back to the terminals like I did before. Go ahead and plug the unit back in. And the solid blue light is a good sign, so everything should be good to go at this point. Now I can put the control panel back, so I'll go ahead and screw the circuit board back to the display front. And then I'll go ahead and secure it back to the wall. I'll go ahead and plug the sauna back in. Now I can turn the sauna on or off remotely just by pressing the button on the app. You can also create a scene, like set schedule. I'm going to set it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, weekdays at 5 a.m. So if it's 5 a.m., then I want it to control a single device. Take the sauna button and turn it on, and then save it. And I'll give it the name Sauna on weekday mornings. When my alarm goes off at 5:30, then I can just go straight to the sauna and it's already warmed up full temp. Do a little stretching, kind of warm up. Then I can do my cold plunge and get the day started off right. By the way, if you want to know how I built a cold plunge, check for the video link at the end.
Thanks for joining me on the project today. Hope you learned something that'll help you out with your next build, or maybe you do something differently. Either way, leave a comment. Please let me know what you think. And if you want to know more about the SwitchBot or about the Wi-Fi switch module, check the video description. I'll go ahead and I'll leave product links to both of those. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really love it if you'd give it a thumbs up and tell your friends about it. And if you haven't subscribed, please also do that so you'll stay updated with my newest videos. And I'll see you on the next build.